The glossy red train glides into the station. It comes to a stop at the platform, and the doors float open. It's here to take you from the bustling metropolis of Rome to the magnificent and historical city of Pompeii. One by one, commuters and tourists alike vanish into the carriages. Once you're inside, you find a window seat. After a few minutes, the bustling platform empties of people, leaving the little grey sparrows to descend from the rafters and skitter about the slate-coloured walkways. On the train, the inviting leather seats are filled by all sorts of people, young and old, loud and quiet, busy and relaxed. They settle in, as you have, for the journey south. You lean your head back, resting it on the cushioned seat, and watch Rome's outskirts rush past the window at an unbelievable speed. The carriage sways back and forth rhythmically as houses, waterways, trees and cars merge into a colourful blur before your eyes. After a while, you sink further into the seat, letting your mind drift. It wanders to the train's other passengers, the group of American visitors holding a conversation with their Italian neighbours. A small woman in a suit and sunglasses, whispering into a phone with a rainbow of plastic folders spread across her lap. Your attention shifts to the window as the sunshine leaps onto your face through clouds and mountains. Outside, large cows trundle across dewy green fields. Behind the stretches of meadow are small hills, dusted with snow, yearning for the bright rays of morning sun. And in the gaps between the crests, the faint blue sea is visible, sparkling despite the winter chill. Before long, the idyllic countryside is greeted by the metropolitan city of Naples. Boxy houses teeter in their bright yellows and reds, looking out towards the empty plains as neighbours chatter about the day ahead. As you approach inner Naples, the buildings become more sophisticated and densely packed. Soon, the train rolls to a stop, and the doors of the carriage ease open. You get off here and set out to make your connection on a different platform. Somehow, this station is busier than the one in Rome. The escalators squeal as you descend to the lower platform in search of the train that will take you to your final destination. You follow a young couple as they pass gracefully through the ticket barrier and watch as they disappear into the heart of the station to be lost amongst the maze of platforms and routes. Although this hub is filled with travellers rushing to and fro, you don't mind the company. You take comfort in being amongst people all going to new, and interesting places. Before long, the train arrives and you're practically carried on board by the momentum of everyone heading in the same direction. This train is nothing like the last. Older carriages, awash in colourful graffiti, creak as the wheels begin to turn. Slowly, it chugs out of the station, back into the sunlight. This time, the tracks run through little towns and stations that brood at the foot of the majestic mountains, proudly overshadowing these small hamlets. In the distance, you see Mount Vesuvius, the tallest mountain of them all. Its green, tree-laden base morphs into a barren, moon-like cone at the top. As the only active volcano in mainland Europe, its sheer power overwhelms you, and you feel your shoulders relax as the weight of anticipation vanishes. Smatterings of white add to its beauty. Clouds circle its peak, and patches of snow dot the slopes beneath them. 3/4 of the passengers rise as the train rumbles towards Pompeii, where you get off too. Bare trees hang over the narrow platform. You wait while the crowd flows down the stairs, leading under the tracks to the exit. In winter, the restaurants and souvenir shops are closed, increasing the feeling of separation from the real world. Now that you're alone, you spend some time taking in the unique atmosphere. Pompeii Scavi is the station closest to the old city, a historic landmark that draws thousands of visitors a year. The ancient town was covered in a layer of volcanic ash after Vesuvius erupted in the year 79 CE. What had once been a bustling resort town in Roman times was rendered uninhabitable for centuries. In 1748, a group of explorers were digging for artifacts under the ash when they discovered the town was still mostly intact, frozen in time for well over 1,000 years. Now, people come from around the world to visit the site, which has been preserved for all to see. You gaze around the deserted station. There are just 2 tracks, narrow platforms, and closed, quiet buildings, protected from the elements by shiny doors of corrugated iron. It's time to continue on your way, down the staircase to the other side. As you descend, it's as though you've taken your first step back in time to the year 79. It feels like the past has become the present. You make your way through the tunnel, which is aglow with incandescent lighting, up the opposite stairs and out of the station. A concrete ramp snakes up the luscious grassy hill that kneels before Vesuvius. You pass by the ticket office, then make your way through the polished turnstiles. A paved path up an easy slope leads you to the remnants of the city walls. There, a proud watchtower sits atop a cobbled arch that beckons all to the town. Through this gateway, you're welcomed to Pompeii by quaint stone huts from 2,000 years ago. But in some ways, Pompeii isn't all that different from modern towns. The outskirts are made of simple homes with 2 or 3 rooms and a kitchen with a gaping hole in the roof, which served as a chimney. Moving past the historical suburbs, the city centre is the reason for the town's popularity. At the intersection of many roads stands a big, open marketplace with a view across the bay. The sea breeze drifts in through the streets. Some of the buildings, both restored and not, signify the authority and importance this otherworldly place had in its own time. But lone pillars, disconnected from their structures, serve as a reminder of the powerful mountain that looms in the distance. You trace the outline of Vesuvius with your gaze, emptying your mind as you take in the serene blues of sky and ocean beyond. In the town square, there are open stables, empty of horses for generations. Some of your fellow visitors wander into them, filling the cavernous spaces where relics like a rickety cart have been put on display. The splintered wood and rugged wheels stand for all to see, overlooking the large cobblestones they used to travel upon. Large ducts or gutters snake through the streets. During the rainy season, water flowed into them and then down the hill to the ocean rather than saturating the town. It was technology like this that made the Romans so ahead of their time, and it's still a marvel to see today. A tour guide dressed in a grey jacket and large sunglasses talks to a group of tourists about the square. She eagerly describes the old stalls, town meetings, and other activities that went on in the city centre. You mill around the back of this group, imagining toga-clad vendors standing beneath colourful banners hung across their stalls. They would have been laden with everything from plump fruits to intricately detailed pottery, you think. This place is such a clear echo of older times. It's easy to imagine past and present merging together around every corner. As you walk along the edge of the courtyard, you come to a small house that has been fashioned into a gallery, holding exactly the kind of pottery you imagined before. Sturdy vases and plates stand inside walls splashed with vivid scenes, reproductions of the ancient world. One vase is long and thin, with pigments creating wonderful squiggly patterns around the lip. Another is plain clay that has been moulded into a series of mountains and valleys. Further along, there is a large stone theatre. Climbing the steps to the back row, you get a clear view of the semicircular arena fanning out below. At center stage, a woman in a bright red dress discusses Roman music with a small crowd of visitors. A troupe of musicians plays beside her in the winter chill. The soft, tentative sounds of a violin and flute reach you in the back row. And for a moment, you close your eyes and just listen. Opening your eyes, you decide it's time to make your way further up the hill in the direction of Vesuvius. In this part of town, the houses are bigger, and you imagine they once belonged to some of the wealthy or renowned visitors or residents. Sturdy trees have been allowed to regrow, shading swathes of land that previously housed blossoming orchards of olives, apples, and oranges. These homes also feature ancient murals, dulled slightly by the passage of time. In one, a particularly colourful scene greets tourists in the front room. It's a floor-to-ceiling depiction of children laughing in once vibrant hues of blue, yellow, and pink. Hidden at the back of town is the amphitheatre, Pompeii's own Colosseum. It's a perfect bowl of dusty brown. Intricate patterns and windows are carved into the upper stories of this magnificent arena. Its design welcomes the sun, with only a set of stylish arches for shade. Although smaller, it's more intact than its counterpart in Rome. High sandstone walls support the windswept seats, overlooking the sandy pit where gladiators would have battled in a bygone era. A network of tunnels under the stands has been converted into an exhibition commemorating Pink Floyd, the band that once played here to capture the stadium's wonderful acoustics. This mingling of old and new only serves to add to the unique feeling of this place. A handful of young locals have started an impromptu game of football in front of the arena, giggling with every kick and tackle. A groundskeeper looks on as the grass and dirt swirl around the boys and girls, following the ball with an expert's eye. The ball bounces towards you. You kick it back to an ovation from the kids who quickly get on with their game. Nearby, a grand house with a front balcony looms large. Inside, you find a courtyard, lush with plants at the center of a square of corridors following the edges. New banners, akin to army insignia from long ago, have been put across the back wall. This was the army barracks, you learn. With bare, small rooms and spacious common areas, it's remarkably similar to modern sites. Looking up, you notice a group of birds zipping around in the sky, twittering with high-pitched voices as they chase after one another. These are shrikes. The male has a mask of black across his eyes, while the female has a plain face In one of the grand evergreens, a ragtag nest houses a family of chicks. You watch the show overhead. The blacks, greys, and whites of the birds merge into one glorious flutter of muted colour as they speed across the tapestry of clouds. As you meander up and down the roads, past the huts telling age-old stories with the texture of their walls, you end up in a quiet new town. A sleepy village, modern Pompeii, lies next to the bustling tourist spot. You've wandered into it by accident, but it's interesting to see the contrast between old and new. Few people are out and about at this time of day in winter. A disused merry-go-round shines in the sunlight with plastic horses of bright pink and green. You can smell the crisp winter air here and feel the tall, untended grass brush your fingertips. You retrace your steps down the road to return to the past and old Pompeii. This time, you take the correct path, a dusty track sloping up the side of Vesuvius. You stop at the edge of the tree line to catch your breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Continuing on to the top of the mountain, you come to a large viewing platform made of rugged timber that offers a spectacular panorama. Directly below you, a massive crater innocently marks the mountain's top. Its ridges and patterns form an intricate picture. It's a beautiful sight to behold, but thoughts of the power of this active volcano are never far from your mind. Beyond the crater, sleepy pastures stretch to the horizon. Cows mill about, looking to you like tiny dots of black, brown, and white in the distance, blissfully enjoying an afternoon snack. You see Pompeii spreading out in the foreground. Beyond it lies Naples, a sprawling city reaching for its neighbour with snaking fingers of suburbs and houses. Somehow, the colourful town from today's train ride seems whitewashed beneath the sun, with corrugated roofs shining bright. It creates a sort of picturesque smile, connecting Pompeii and the sea. The blue expanse of the ocean stretches endlessly to far-off lands, meshing seamlessly with the horizon. Patches of turquoise, aqua, and green intermingle with the deep blue. All of the shades gel into a peaceful canvas that reflects the occasional cloud. While you're enjoying the view, it's getting late. Time to head back to the historic city once more. You wander down the slopes, feeling your heartbeat in your chest and bringing cool winter air into your lungs with every breath. Back in town, a square metal cart with a large yellow umbrella catches your eye. While most of the stalls leave their peddling for summer, a friendly man in an apron is braving the chilly weather to sell his snacks to visitors today. An unmistakable scent emanates from the cart. It reminds you of the warmth of a roast dinner by the fireplace and the wintry aroma of a deep forest. Nothing but roasted chestnuts smell quite like that. Your request for a handful is happily accepted by the man, who smiles as he hands you a cone of rough yellow paper full of steaming chestnuts. You nibble on them as you make your way towards the exit. You take a slightly different route than when you entered, passing by the imperious front of the Pompeii Basilica. Tucked away near the ramp to leave is a little modern building made of sleek panelled glass. Inside is a museum. You've got just enough time to take a quick peek. Wonderfully warm air greets you as you enter the building. You take a deep breath and unzip your jacket. Around you are all sorts of quirky artifacts, stories, and information boards. Beneath a pristine glass display lies a colourful, miniature model of Pompeii, with thrilling greens and yellows, replacing the weather-beaten grasses and walls outside. A film detailing the politics of Pompeii plays on the back wall. The narrator's voice fills the room with snippets of information. Beyond the screen, diaries sit with English reproductions by their side. The graceful, loopy calligraphy harkens back to an older time. Moving past a souvenir shop, you return outside into the fresh air. It has a revitalizing effect after time spent in the warm museum. The air is like a mix of the salty ocean breeze, meeting with the woody scent of the surrounding juniper trees and the aroma of aged houses. It's the whimsical and unforgettable smell of this place. Slowly, you find your way to the exit, but turn to catch one final glimpse of the old city. The sun is beginning to sink toward the horizon, transforming the evening sky into a mosaic of pinks, oranges, and blues. You gaze peacefully out over Pompeii, this strange and wonderful town where past and present intermingle, and bid it farewell until the next time you return.